Uh-oh. So anyway, if you want to just like just pay me compliments, you could do that while you're giving me money or sending me presents. Just, you know, just be creative, but it has to have some kind of monetary value or I'm not gonna care. Just generally. If it doesn't have monetary value, it at least needs to have emotional value to you. Like, I can't really know if you're genuinely, like, doing what I ask, unless I know what you're sacrificing to me is very emotionally relevant to you. Like an old picture or like a photo of someone you really care about. If you could just rip that up right now for me. Send me a video of it. I would that would be a start. You know, there's only so much talent that I can spread in the world, and I need people to know that, you know, it's not just something that should be done for free. Like, honestly, it's a crime that it is being done for free. You would think that no self-respecting person with this much raw talent, charisma, animal magnetism would monetize in some way, but I don't. I don't, because I want to give you the honor of doing that yourself. And you don't even have to pay me money. You could pay me something else. Like, I'm not gonna name anything specifically, but like, there's some pretty cool things you can do with like unneeded parts of your body, like a kidney or a liver. Those are fun, and they always improve my mood. They don't really have a purpose other than that, but I do enjoy knowing that that has happened correctly. You know, I understand that sometimes it's a bit confusing. You know, sometimes it feels like it needs to be one way when it's actually another way. And that's not important. You should be thinking stuff like that. That's not important at all. It's stupid actually that you would think that, because I don't think that, and I know pretty much everything. I actually know everything, so there's not any point really in like lying to me or thinking you know better than me, because I automatically win, because I know better than you. I know everything. Like, you can't beat knowing everything. There's no amount of knowledge that beats knowing everything. When you know everything, there's nothing about everything, you know? You either know everything or you don't know everything. And considering that one of us does the former, then the latter should just, you know, just sort of assume that if they think any differently, then they're not correct. They need to continue being not correct, because that's their job. Like, they can't ever be truly correct again if somebody who's always correct is always talking. And that's why I always talk, because the more I talk, the more I'm right, and the more I'm right, the more I prove my point. We wouldn't want to. There'd be too many lies in the world if I didn't speak. I support so much of the grand percentage of truth in the world, and I feel like that's not appreciated nearly as much as it should, even though I appreciate people about it all the time. that being myself, of course, but I do understand why people would think that maybe that doesn't need to be appreciated, but I I'm gonna say that you don't know what you're talking about because you're not me. And if you were me, you would know that I do know what I'm talking about. And then I talk about this stuff all the time. I'm actually pretty reliable when it comes to that sort of thing. And I also know that when you talk about things for a long time, you're even more likely to be right about those things because those things were talked about for a long time. And you know what I said about things being talked about for a long time being correct? And let's face it, being correct is always just the correct thing to do. Like, you should never not be correct. If you're ever not correct, then you shouldn't be speaking at all anyway. Just from now on, just don't speak. Actually, don't. If you ever find yourself, if words ever leave your mouth, and you realize that those words leaving your mouth are not exactly the words that I have said before in exactly my voice, because you know the sound of your voice also has an effect on how correct you are when you say things, then you just need to stop. You know, you let yourself, you know, air yourself out of the slack while you're ahead. All right, because that's not gonna end well. It doesn't end well for anyone. It's not, that's not how it's meant to end for anyone. Okay, you can't. Like, sometimes people get too ahead of themselves. They forget the wrong things, they do the wrong things, and they think that because they've done the right things that they can say correct things, and that's not true. You're doing the wrong things by trying to say correct things. Like, it's an inherently flawed system. That's not how that works, right? If you're saying wrong things, it's because you meant to say correct things. Or rather, to begin with, anything you say will eventually be an incorrect thing when you say it that way. Like, I'm not crazy about that. I'm saying things the way that I know them to be true. And even if I know that I'm always correct, there's always like this natural aura of correctness that needs to be constantly maintained. And you know, people can't just do that by themselves. They need to be aware of all the things that add to their correctness. Like, there's a difference between being correct and then being wrong. Right and wrong is also not the same as correct and wrong. It's a different pairing too as well. But it makes a lot of sense once you get into it, because you'll see that the exact way that correctness can be quantified is the same way that wrongness can be quantified. And you mix and match some numbers and all that, and it'll start making sense. But seriously, my point is that there's no need to do that anyway, because there's just this natural assumption that needs to be made that you're always going to be wrong, and that someone else out there is going to be correct. That someone, of course, being me, but that is irrelevant to the matter at hand, other than in the way that I'm always relevant, but not in that correct way that I'm relevant right now. I mean, in like a purely flawed and direct way that I'm always correct, not in the infinite way that I am correct cosmically. That's a whole other different thing. But it's more like a different level of correctness. Like, it's not saying that there's anything that I could ever possibly say that wouldn't be correct. More like everything that I say is cosmically correct, but the words themselves are just sort of being used as a tool for me to speak my correctness. Really, it's any of those things. And you can pick one of the ones that you like at random, and that's fine, because that's fine. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, everything that is being said, there's a billion things being said right now. People are talking right now. Are they about you? No. They're about me. And I should know, because everything I say is correct. And if you ever find yourself wondering or even doubting for a moment to think that maybe something you said is correct, need you to stop and remember this moment, because this is going to be a very important moment for you. Is that you tried and you failed, and just remember that will always happen. That will always happen. There's no room for that to not happen, because I'm always correct, and I'm correct in the way that people can always and only be correct. That is to mean, or rather to say, that cosmic level of correctness is the only kind of correctness that matters. Like any other sort of correctness is just wrong. Like you know what I mean. I already know you know what I mean, because it's like I said, that cosmic truthness is something you just understand on some level, and you don't need to pretend not to, because it happens either way, and you don't need to stop it. You just need to get that it's understood, and then understand that it's correct, and that is like a binary status. Not binary, because binary has multiple states. There's only one state it can be, much like existence. If it exists and it is existing, then if I make a statement, if I exist or exist words in a certain way, then those words exist correctly because I chose to make those words exist, because I made them exist. Now they're correct because they exist now when I made them. And I don't think that's that confusing of a topic, really. I think that if you take even a moment to think about it, it comes to you. And I hardly like to waste people's time by explaining all this stuff that's obvious. But I do understand also that sometimes things just need to be said in the same way that, people kind of forget, like, simple things, like very simple things that they think about every day. And even if you don't think about it anymore, okay, those thoughts happen like that. Those conceptual thoughts are arched down on your brain dome. And it's very important that every thought you have, every single thought that you have, is relevant to me in a way that makes sense. I actually am incapable of misunderstanding things. So if I misunderstand something, then you've said something wrong. There needs to be something said properly about the way that things are said for it to be proper. I know that kind of correctness can seem frightening at first, but if you look closely at things, they can seem weird or strange, but it's actually just a way of being conceptually correct that's similar to the way that I'm always conceptually correct. And it keeps going. It's like this constant cycle of cycles, where there's that inherent truth,